Dark Side of the Mind, the philosophy of Pink Floyd's Magnum Opus. Hello, and welcome to Philosophy Examined. Today, we unpack an album that has reached the status of cultural icon, deeply impacting music, society, and indeed, the philosophy of an entire generation. We're talking about Pink Floyd's 1973 masterpiece, The Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd, a British band formed in 1965, evolved from the psychedelic beginnings brought about by Syd Barrett, through the transition under Roger Waters and David Gilmour. Known for experimental, abstract music, innovative album covers, and elaborate live shows, they carved a unique path in music history. The initial lineup consisted of students: Syd Barrett, guitar and lead vocals, Nick Mason, drums, Roger Waters, bass and vocals, and Richard Wright, keyboards and vocals. The band's early days were marked by the leadership of the enigmatic Syd Barrett, who infused their music with psychedelic flourishes, whimsical lyrics, and a distinctly experimental edge, as seen in their debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, 1967. However, the deteriorating mental health of Barrett, likely due to LSD use, led to a period of transition for the band. It was during this time that David Gilmour, a friend from their college days, was invited to join as a second guitarist, and soon took over Barrett's role as lead guitarist and co-lead vocalist. From this point on, Pink Floyd began to move away from their psychedelic beginnings. Under the guidance of Waters and Gilmour, the band shifted towards a more progressive rock sound, characterized by complex compositions, philosophical lyrics, innovative album concepts, and groundbreaking use of technology and sound effects. The band's direction also took a turn to conceptual work, leading to their 8th studio album, The Dark Side of the Moon. The idea for the album was conceived during their 1972 tour, a project initially titled Eclipse. The band wanted to create a cohesive piece of music that dealt with things that make people mad, drawing from their personal experiences. Roger Waters became the primary lyricist, with contributions from all band members. The album reflects the zeitgeist of the early 70s, a time of social and political unrest. It encapsulates the disillusionment and introspection that emerged out of the 1960s countercultural revolution. Side of the Moon kicks off with Speak to Me, an instrumental piece by drummer Nick Mason. It is a musical overture, starting with a single heartbeat that grows louder and faster, eventually blending with chaotic sounds of laughter, conversation, a cash register, clocks ticking, and helicopter blades, a foreshadowing of themes to come throughout the album. Breathe, penned by Waters, Gilmour, and Wright, is an existential plea. Its lyrics encourage the listener to look beyond material desires and societal expectations. There's a certain serenity to it, a philosophical invitation to be fully present in the moment and to live authentically. On the Run is an instrumental track, with its fast-paced sequencing and airport announcements, captures the anxiety of modern travel and the general human fear of the relentless march of time. It's a sonic portrayal of the frantic pace of the modern world that leaves us feeling chased, disoriented, and alienated. Time, a song for which all band members share writing credit, is a haunting reflection on life's ephemerality. It features an introduction with layers of alarm clocks going off simultaneously, a poignant reminder of time slipping away. The lyrics express regret about time wasted and a sense of urgency to seize the day, a nod to the existentialist thought. The Great Gig in the Sky, a collaboration between Wright and vocalist Claire Torrey, who improvised the iconic wordless vocals, is a powerful and emotive piece. It expresses the fear and acceptance of mortality. The lack of lyrics allows listeners to project their own fears, hopes, and emotions onto the music. Money, written by Waters, starts with the sound of cash registers and loose change. It's a critique of greed and consumerism, underlining the corruption that can come with wealth. The 7/4, time signature, underscores the song's disjointed, unsettling narrative about capitalism. Ascendant, a collaboration between Waters and Wright, begins with a serene saxophone solo, quickly contrasted by lyrics about conflict, war, and the senseless division among humans. It portrays the dichotomy between us, the common people, and them, the decision makers, underlining the existential absurdity of human conflicts. Any Color You Like, an instrumental by Gilmour, Wright, and Mason, lets the listener interpret its meaning. However, it's often seen as a commentary on the illusion of freedom and choice in a society where significant decisions are often made by unseen powers. Brain Damage, written by Waters, addresses the theme of mental illness, specifically inspired by former bandmate Syd Barrett's mental decline. It explores the societal stigma around mental health and questions the fine line between insanity and genius, suggesting that we all have a dark side, a degree of madness. Eclipse, the closing piece by Waters, offers a sense of closure. It suggests that despite our individual struggles, joys, and pains, we all exist under the same sun, and eventually, the same moon. It emphasizes the unity and interconnectedness of all things, offering a more holistic perspective on life. Pink Floyd seems influenced by existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. Themes of angst, freedom, and the awareness of death echo throughout the album. However, instead of succumbing to nihilism, the album presents a more humanistic outlook. Breathe and Eclipse, for example, encourage finding purpose and connection in a chaotic, absurd world. Time, and The Great Gig in the Sky, contemplate our mortality, which aligns with the existentialist idea that an awareness of death can lead to a more authentic life. There's an encouragement to seize the day, to live fully aware of time's passage. On the other hand, the album's social critique, evident in Money and Us and Them, might be seen as a reflection of Marxist philosophy, illustrating a consciousness of social conflict and the dehumanizing effect of capitalism. Brain Damage and Eclipse tackle mental illness and societal expectations, respectively. Here, we see an exploration of societal norms and the dangers of not fitting into them, touching on themes explored by philosophers such as Michel Foucault. However, The Dark Side of the Moon is not just about individual or societal struggles. It's also about how we relate to the world around us and to each other, a key theme in phenomenology and existentialism. The album can be viewed as a phenomenological exploration, as the band takes us through different human experiences, pushing us to confront our own realities. This ties into Martin Heidegger's concept of Dasein, our being in the world, and the complex web of relations that shape our existence. And finally, Eclipse reminds us of a fundamental interconnectedness, echoing Eastern philosophies, particularly Buddhism and Taoism. Here, Pink Floyd points us to the realization that everything in the universe is deeply interrelated. The Dark Side of the Moon is a trip to the unconscious parts of our mind, leading us to grapple with our fears, anxieties, and aspirations. In this sense, the album aligns with Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the unconscious part of the personality which the conscious ego doesn't identify with. The journey through the album doesn't promise a utopia at the end, rather it brings us face to face with our human frailties. Yet, there is beauty in that raw exposure, a call to self-awareness and authenticity. Pink Floyd might not have been philosophers in a conventional sense, but with The Dark Side of the Moon, they transformed their music into a rich tapestry of philosophical inquiry. By musically framing these existential concerns, they not only invited us to contemplate life's deepest questions, as great philosophers do, but also to feel and experience these truths in a visceral, emotive way. They demonstrated that philosophy isn't confined to scholarly discourse. Instead, it's a living, breathing examination of life, accessible through different mediums, from the written word to the rhythm of a song. This album stands as a testament to the power of music as a form of philosophical exploration, an auditory journey through the spectrum of human experience, from despair to enlightenment. Through their art, Pink Floyd poses profound questions about time, death, sanity, and society, urging us to look within and confront our own dark side of the moon. The album's enduring popularity, more than 5 decades since its release, might be due to this philosophical depth that resonates with listeners across different generations and cultures. It's more than just a collection of songs, it's a profound exploration of the human condition. It serves as an auditory mirror, reflecting our hopes, fears, and contradictions. The themes it explores, time, greed, conflict, madness, are universal and timeless, making the album perennially relevant. Moreover, the dark side of the moon isn't just a passive listening experience. It invites us to engage in introspection, to scrutinize our own lives through the prism of its music and lyrics. The songs might be about Pink Floyd's personal experiences, but they extend an invitation for all of us to examine our own responses to the conditions of our existence. It's a work of art that doesn't shy away from asking us to confront the parts of ourselves we often choose to ignore, our fears, our mortality, our greed, our insanity, our own personal dark side of the moon. Moreover, the album's experimental sound design and innovative use of studio technology, creating a psychedelic, immersive experience, draws the listener into a reflective and contemplative state. Each listen can reveal new layers of meaning and elicit different emotional responses, allowing for a deeply personal and transformative encounter with the music. In this way, The Dark Side of the Moon transcends the traditional boundaries of a rock album to become a philosophical artifact, a tool for self-examination, and a catalyst for personal growth. Its philosophical depth and universal themes ensure its relevance, ensuring its continued popularity as an iconic piece of cultural and musical history. The album cover for The Dark Side of the Moon is as iconic as the music it contains. Designed by Hypnosis, a British design group famed for their work in the music industry, the cover features a ray of white light passing through a prism to form a spectrum of colors, a simple yet striking image that has become synonymous with Pink Floyd. This visual metaphor, with its minimalist aesthetic, perfectly complements the album's themes of light, darkness, and the spectrum of human experience. In the golden days of vinyl records, before the advent of CDs and digital music, album covers were not just packaging, but an integral part of the music experience. These covers were thoughtfully designed pieces of art, meant to visually represent the music and the messages within. They were a canvas for artists to extend the band's vision, often providing a tantalizing glimpse into the album's themes or the band's mindset during the creation process. They were tangible, held in the hands of the listener, explored with the eyes as the music played, adding another layer of engagement with the music. For The Dark Side of the Moon, the prism design is a manifestation of this artistic tradition. The cover not only visually represents the sonic exploration within the album but also serves as a lasting cultural symbol, as recognizable as the music it represents. It is a testament to a time when the music experience was not just oral, but also visual and tactile, a multisensory exploration of artistry and creativity. The impact of The Dark Side of the Moon on the music industry and popular culture is undeniable, a fact that is reflected in its commercial success and the accolades it has received. The album was an instant success upon its release in March 1973, reaching number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart in the US and remaining in the charts for a staggering 14 years. It has sold over 45 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time. The album's success is not just commercial, it's also been critically acclaimed for its innovative use of technology, profound lyricism, and cohesive concept. In 1973, it won a Grammy Award for Best Engineered Album, Non-Classical, recognizing the groundbreaking sound engineering work by Alan Parsons. The album was also selected for preservation in the United States National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress in 2012 for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. In 2018, the album was selected as the greatest of all time in the mid-year readers' poll conducted by the Prog magazine. It also consistently ranks high in various listings of the greatest albums of all time, including Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. Its enduring popularity and influence continue to reverberate through the music industry and beyond, a testament to its timeless themes and innovative musical approach. For those who have listened to this album in the past, we encourage you to listen again, this time with a philosophical ear. For those who have never experienced the dark side of the moon, let it be a journey, not just of music, but of self-exploration and philosophical inquiry. As Roger Waters, the band's bassist and the primary lyricist for the album, once said, "The dark side of the moon is an expression of political, philosophical, humanitarian empathy that was desperate to get out." This statement isn't just an insight into the band's creative process, it underscores the urgency and necessity of their message. The album doesn't merely flirt with deep themes, it immerses itself fully in them. It explores the complexities of the human condition, from the ceaseless march of time, the anxieties of life, and the dichotomies that rip the fabric of society, to the specter of insanity looming over us. This empathy is a call to action, an urging to humanity to confront these issues rather than bury them beneath the surface. Pink Floyd's philosophical, political, and humanitarian concerns, translated into music, become an accessible medium for listeners to engage with these ideas. It's not just about understanding these concepts intellectually, but also feeling them emotionally and viscerally, which is something music does incredibly well. This is what sets The Dark Side of the Moon apart. It invites not only the mind, but also the heart and soul into its rich tapestry of sound and meaning. It's not merely a record, but a deeply human statement that resonates across time and space. Pink Floyd intended for the album to be a coherent narrative, a holistic work of art that not only entertains, but also tells a story and sparks thought and reflection. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more philosophical analyses of music, art, culture, and more. Stay curious, stay philosophical, and as always, keep examining. Until next time.